Welcome to the Primal Training Podcast. I'm your host, Mamoun Benani, a holistic fitness and nutrition coach. The goal of this podcast is to bring ancestral wisdom to the modern world by sharing insightful conversations with experts in movement, nutrition, and spirituality. I really hope to provide practical strategies to enhance your lives. Enjoy. Hey, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, man? Doing pretty well.
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, so I was just doing a quick introduction. I was saying that talking to you for a few minutes, I felt like talking to myself in a different place in the universe. We share really similar ideas. Some of the teachings we got, I'm assuming like we're digging the information from the same places, from what I can see, and I'm sure we'll have a really nice conversation about holistic nutrition, exercise, just like well-being in general. And I'm sure we're aligned in all of this. And yeah, and also I was saying I haven't planned anything. I'm just trusting. I feel I have a good intuition, and I'm sure we're going through something that's gonna be beneficial for the listeners today. So Anthony, I'll let you introduce who you are and tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So hi everybody, my name's Anthony. I'm from Sherbrooke, Quebec. My whole life I've always been very involved in the world of sports. Played many sports in high school. I played basketball, ran cross country. Now I'm doing rock climbing, but the biggest part of my life I spent it playing football for like a decade. This was a major source of lots of teaching, wisdom, lots of experience. One thing that really is a major part of my story is that when I was in grade 3, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, which really made me I start asking more questions about why was I having that condition, and the whole medical system was not necessarily giving me the answers that I was looking for, which kind of fuel my drive and my will and my desire to investigate more about a whole health, because I was like, I cannot accept that I'm forever going to be depending on some external sources for my own well-being, which totally didn't resonate with myself. So yeah, football, always been involved in sports. And then in 2016, I discovered Wim Hof, the Iceman, and I know you're on that. You resonate with that. Breath work and cold immersion too, and so yeah, started practicing, started researching and more, and then when I started trying it and seeing really the result and the benefit from it, I was like, well, there's definitely much more than we've been told. And there's so much more power that reside within us that we have powers to tap into through conscious practice and conscious, day-to-day habits implementation, which then kind of opened the door to the whole holistic world. Because like the whole holistic philosophy of things is that we don't focus on one specific area. We look at how everything influence and work together in some kind of synergistic whole, which is what health is really. It's a state of balance with like in between the physical, the mental, the emotional, spiritual aspect of the whole human experience. And then after that, in summer 2019, I discovered the Czech Institute and the work of Paul Czech, which is one of our common mentor, and ever since I've been really like studying and like because my whole life I had questions and stuff about whatever it might be. And when I
Mm-hmm.
finally found his work, I was like, thank you. I finally have someone who has concrete example, practical ways of making sense of the whole reason why things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm a holistic health coach,
Mm-hmm.
um, lifestyle coach, professionally through the Czech Institute. And yeah, I'm studying. I got into the Czech Academy, which is more like a inclusive program where you learn not only the holistic lifestyle aspect of life, which is more health oriented, but there's also the integrated movement science, which is more like exercise coach and like the whole anatomy, physiology, how the body works, the muscle and this and yeah. So I'm fully involved in that whole health, you know, movement and
Yeah.
discovery.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there's one thing I love about what you do, and what my intuition tells me about what you do is you through your through your program through your teachings from Paul Chek, and that's like one of his things as well is not it's just not about the knowledge and like knowing things. Like a lot of people, like you find a lot of experts that know a lot of things about nutrition and like the chemistry and the details of the details, but at the end of the day it's like how you achieve results and how you apply it to your life. And I think that's what missing with a lot of coaches and experts is we can know everything about health and all of that, but are you able to apply it to yourself and see results? And you're having an autoimmune disease, so you're working on it and you're testing all these practices and seeing what works for you. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you use these tools and how you apply them to yourself first as a coach.
Yeah.
And once it works for you, then you apply it to other people around you, either students or clients or so that's one thing. That's the feeling that I have, and I feel that you're really living your your knowledge. You're applying your knowledge, and you're living on it. So is my intuition right?
Yeah, yeah, you're totally right on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
honestly, like all form of knowledge essentially leads to knowledge of self. So I may read as many books as I want about anything,
mm-hmm.
but until the day I put it into practice and experience it for myself, like it's not really practical. It's just a lot of information, but like knowledge itself is not power.
Mm-hmm.
Applied knowledge is.
Yeah,
Because you have a lot of ideas and you know a lot of things, but you don't you know use it in ways that it enhance your whole experience and your health, and or in a sense use it in order to get closer to your dream or
mm-hmm.
your goal, your objective, what you want to bring to the world. Well,
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it also depends on the type of people. So you have people that are they would have like maybe like a more a visual memory, like when it comes to
Mm,
like teaching movements or anything else. I feel like for me, I need to experiment whatever I'm teaching. So I
yeah,
cannot teach a movement that I cannot do, and my
yeah,
memory is actually the kinetic memory, and I need to feel it. And once I know the exact movement, how to do it, I can teach it. And same goes for food, for example. Like
mm-hmm,
I can't recommend something that I haven't tried, and once I will recommend it, it will be like a reality for me. It's not just an idea that I read in a book, but it is a reality, and I can explain it with the emotions and with the feelings that anything had on me. So that's I think that's also something missing in a really scientific left brain environment where we're all about
yeah,
uh, like as you're saying, knowledge. And knowledge sometimes, I mean, it's good to have it, but you need to be experimented.
right. You need to do something with it, right? Because otherwise it's just there.
Yeah.
And yeah, another thing is that nowadays, especially in society, we have a lot of expert about the brain and about the heart, about the
Hmm.
musculoskeletal system, and like they know everything that you can know about it. But it's important to understand that the human body is actually a cybernetic system, which means a system of system.
Right.
A good analogy I use is can there's no way you can touch a spider web in one place without affecting the whole. And the human body is very similar in that sense.
Hmm.
So if, for example, like I'm prescribing you some exercise to do, but I don't look at your core function and your ability to stabilize your spine, well, it's not a question of if you're going to injure it. It's more a question about when it's going to happen. Because if you can stabilize, like it's it's coming. It's just, and another thing about my whole experience is I've had so many injuries throughout my football career,
Hmm.
and like I blew my ACL, I broke bones, like I was I was not now I'm in a position where I can see it as gift and
Yeah.
as experience that were necessary for me to be in the position that I am today and to be able to do the work that I'm doing today. But when I was living, I was like, why is this all happening to me? But like now, when you look at the whole system as a whole with a holistic perspective,
Mm.
it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's all about the cycles. You just
Yeah.
realize you're in the winter, and then you're moving to another season, and that people don't realize
Mm-hmm.
it. They get stuck in one phase and they don't see the whole picture. And
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. And so tell us a little bit more about your autoimmune disease, and what are the things that you've tried and implemented, and how is it affecting your health so far?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, my autoimmune condition was it's called ITP. It's a condition where my immune system is overactive. So it's essentially producing antibodies against my own platelet. So the platelet in
Okay.
your blood is what makes you coagulate, stop bleeding, essentially.
Hmm.
So in that sense, my immune system is imbalanced. It's too yang, if you want, you know. So like
Hmm.
um so yeah, during my football career, since it's a contact sports, I was I always had to go to the hospital, get blood work done to make sure that my platelet level were high enough so that if I was getting a hit or something, I would not like bleed to death, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Um, quick note how I discovered that I had this condition. I was actually playing a football game and I received a helmet to the thigh and I started internally bleeding like a major like Charlie Horse, you know, like the
Wow.
big bruise to the bone. So
Yeah.
at that like what's going on, and I was always very active as a kid, you know, playing sport, like falling, like getting this and that.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that happened, and then got blood work done and stuff. And just to put into perspective, a normal range of platelet is supposed to be between 150 and 400,000, and I was
Hmm.
playing football with only 5,000 platelet. So essentially, my blood was like water, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So so yeah, in terms of like ways I found to regulate and rebalance my immune system, well, breath work is number one.
Hmm.
Um, Bringing back the pH balance, getting more into the alkaline state rather than acidic state,
Hmm.
combined with cold to lower down inflammation and to calm everything down. Because inflammation, I often describe as your body's on fire. You know,
Hmm.
you
And it's
gotta cool it.
acidity. It's acidity, right? It's like
Yeah.
the hot plus acidity. Is it the same thing? It's like when it's hot, when it's like the pH
Uh,
is lower. Is there a correlation between the two?
I think I, I would say again, it's hard to say that's what it is all the time, because it's always dynamic and it changes. But the pH essentially, you're not your body's normal pH is supposed to be 7.3 ish, and then when you go lower than that towards the 6, 5, 4, that becomes acidic, and like 7 and above, that's alkaline. So it's but again, you can't say like I just want to be alkaline, because you need stomach acid in your stomach to be able to break down the food and be able to digest it. Same thing in your colon. If you're too alkaline in your colon, well, it's not gonna be good. So,
Nope.
you know, it's yeah. So, but with the breath work, when especially like the Wim Hof type breathing, when you increase your amount of oxygen, well, essentially what that does is that it enables your body to like store up more oxygen and attract more like you know, because like acidity is when you're, you know, when you work out and you get like full of lactic acid,
right?
That's like metabolic waste essentially.
Yeah.
It's protein that broke down, and that creates waste. And like in order to flush all of that, it's like essentially it's yeah, it's just the alkalinity is it puts you in a state where you're much more able to adapt to whatever the environment sends you. That's why when you breathe and then you go in the cold, you're like it like it's so stressful, it hurts, but I can withstand it. I'm not gonna die, you know, because your body is like flooded with oxygen. It's like, okay. And oxygen is the first form of nutrition. Like, you know, you can up to 30 days without food, up to like 3 days without water, but not much longer than 3 minutes without hair. So you know, and you know, when you eat food, like oxygen is what enables the oxidization of the food, like the breakdown of the molecule, which creates the energy. And then, like, let's say you have the protein and then they break down into amino acid, because the body don't use just the protein, they use the amino acid to afterwards build whatever it needs to do.
Yeah.
And with glucose, and well, let's just stay like carbs and fats, you know?
Yeah.
So like when you eat carbs, it's the combination with the oxygen that's gonna enables the metabolic breakdown of the molecule, which also gonna release energy through the ATP metabolic pathways, you know? So like
you
oxygen,
need air.
Pardon?
It's like a combustion engine. You need to yeah, you need air.
And what enables you to do that, and that's also why when you do breath work, you feel so energized, because we're carbon essentially, and the chemical reaction is what's needed. And oftentimes when you're low on oxygen, then you know, everything gets affected, like your whole system, your whole rhythm gets lowered down. And yeah, honestly, that's one of the big things for me too. Like breathing is the foundation of everything, because again, breathing is, your body is going to sacrifice everything you need, your digestion, your knee, your posture, just so that you can stay in a position where you can breathe. Because if you can't breathe, you can't live, really.
Yeah. And the one thing about breathing and everything else really is they all come together, because I mean, when you start eating well and exercising and having a good posture, let's say like just posture, for example, if I'm like a little bit more with a good posture, I'm more, I feel more ready to have a just have a big deep breath, and I'm ready and I want to do it. A lot of times when people are stressed and like they're just like all slouched to the front, they don't want to breathe, and they're like condensed, and they have a lot of tension because they don't stretch and they don't eat well. And that's the tricky part, but at the same time it's a good part, because if you you just need to do a little bit everywhere and just like enhance everything, and you just start to feel better. And then once you start breathing better, exercise starts to be less exhausting, and you're able to maintain a
Mm-hmm.
rhythm. And that's, I think that's why, like, we need to see things holistically and not just like, as you're saying,
Yeah.
experts in this, expert in that. You just need to do it all together. I mean, obviously you need to have a plan. You can't just change everything in your life. But yeah, it's a virtuous circle, and people need to be aware of that.
Yeah, totally. And especially nowadays, like with everything that's going on in the world, like the thing is that we have so much information that people don't know, and they don't have the tool to differentiate what's real, what's true, what's not. If these statements are backed by a corporate agenda to push profit and whatever it might be. But that's also why I feel like what we're doing right now is so important, because I mean, that's my experience. I'm putting out there, like I experienced it. I didn't read it in a book, but I'm, you know, and I feel like for people it's much more reliable, and like people can hear like, oh well, you know, like this guy had that, and then he tried that, and it got better. Like, I'm not talking about like taking pills and like ignoring your problem too, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's, and again, it's really, we are holistic being, and we are a part of nature. So therefore, whatever we do to nature, we're essentially doing it to us, and vice versa. So you know, we're in a constant given like give and take exchange. Like, you know, like if we stay with the breathing, what we inhale, the trees gave it to us. What we exhale, the trees take it
Mm-hmm.
to breathe. So we're in constant exchange with our environment.
Right.
And having this mindset is so critical, because like everything we do have an impact on our environment. And I mean, one thing that we're I feel like we're quick to forget, or we just never had the chance to you know, to bring our awareness to that fact, is that the human body didn't change much, like since 30,000 years ago. You know, like the brain evolved a lot, like the consciousness, like the technology and stuff. The
Right.
body, it didn't change much.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, like the saying goes, like, you are what you eat, like, and you are what you don't excrete too. That's the second part that's also important to keep in mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we eat synthetic, like GMOs, like, you know, like nutritionally void nutrient that grows from depleted soil full of chemicals, I mean, in the long run, we're the ones suffering from that, really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like looking back at our ancestry, that's one thing I really love to do. I'm like, well, did my ancestor like could have eat what I'm eating right now? Like, you know, like did they have access to that? Yes or no? If no, well, I mean, maybe there's different ways to go about your nutrition, but I'm not also saying never eat processed food or out or drink alcohol. For sure. It's a question of balance. And the
Mm-hmm.
80 rule is so critical. It's so important. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, anything in excess, it becomes catabolic. It's like an elastic that you pull, and once it snap, and you lose your whole motivation. So the whole 80-20 rule is that if you give to your body what it needs in terms of food, rest, movement, breathing, introspection time to calm down, you know, your thoughts and stuff, well, your body is highly resilient. It's highly dynamic. Like, we are where we are because of this incredible intelligence that's already built in. But
Mm-hmm.
if percent of the time, you know, you're conscious about what you're giving to your body, well, the 20% of excess and fun and like, you know, partying and stuff, your body is gonna deal with that, no problem.
Right.
But problem happens when it's just like, you know, it's just we think our body is just like gonna deal with that, and like but it's changing our mindset as like working with our body so that we can live the life that we want, really.
Yeah. Have you ever heard about the cockroach diets?
Not really, but well, I heard about cockroach, well, insects and stuff, like the proteins and whatnot, that the content is supposed to be higher, but I haven't really
No,
dig.
I didn't mean about like eating cockroaches. Actually, just funny that you were mentioning, like when you were talking about the 80-20 rule, just remind me of this concept of, I mean, just comparing ourselves to cockroaches. Like cockroaches, they have this really, really good adaptation to their environment. So you can put
Okay.
them everywhere. They can ingest a lot of chemicals. They can get they're okay with a lot of stuff. And one, like when you're talking about the 80-20 rule, people that talk about this concept of like cockroach dieting kind of thing is like, let's say if you eat like 100% healthy and clean and only the good thing, and you remove from your diets all any chemical or processed food or anything that that's not good for your body, ultimately what happens is that you're not adapted at all to these chemicals, and you need to have like a little tiny bits of these chemicals just on a maybe like a weekly or a monthly basis, just so whenever it happens, your body's not going to freak out and go crazy. Right. What is going on? So it's funny. I'm not sure how efficient this strategy is, but I believe that it's good to be able to adapt to your environment. And I mean, we live in a toxic environment. There's a lot of things we're not supposed to eat. But if you go by the 80-90% good food rule and just eat well, and like from time to time, like screw up a little bit, it's okay. Like you're getting the major portion of your food from like a healthy environment.
Totally agree. And I would even add that like it's needed for you to have some time where you just don't care, you know, that you do what, because I mean we're not here to be like, you know, just super strict and like not enjoy your life. I mean, it's amazing. Living is, what a time to be alive. What a time, like it's, I mean, just the technology, like just like right now you're in Montreal, I'm in Sherbrooke, we're having this conversation right now. How amazing is that? And you know, like the alcohol or the whatever you're into, that's fine, but it's just most of the time bringing awareness to what we're doing, what we're giving to our body. It's going to enable us sustainability, because that's where problems and most of our problems are. Like now, it's that the way that we've been doing like economy, like education, like food, the whole food system, like monocrop, like mass production, like that's not sustainable. Like that, and now we're starting, like we're starting to feel the consequence of that that too short type mindset, you know. Because like if we think long term, and like for example, like in farming and agriculture, like monocropping and like intensely like exploiting the soil that we have right now, well, chances are in 5, 6, 7 years there won't be nothing. The soil is going to be dead, and then you're going to have to move and move and move and move. But you know, like I'm sure you're familiar with the biodynamic farming.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, like mixing like different crops and stuff, because the reality of it is that, for example, you have a broccoli. Your broccoli needs certain nutrition from the soil. Well, if you then broccoli, the nutrition required for that broccoli is gonna get exhausted pretty quick. But if you do broccoli, carrots, pears, apple, and stuff, well, they all gonna get different nutrition because they all need different nutrition. But you're gonna be able to like harmonize and essentially make the most out of the land you have, and by rotating your crops, you give enough time to the earth to regenerate, and like, you know, it's the same, like, you know what, like we take from nature in terms of food and we consume. Well, our gift to Mother Earth is what comes out, like, you know, in the toilet, like it's compost. It's going back to the cycle, the organic closed cycle.
That's it.
Where there's no such thing as linear thinking and linear ways of doing, because that leads to unsustainability, disease, challenges. It's just not how we're made to operate with nature. And honestly, I know you've been you know, big into the traditional Chinese medicine philosophy and ways of like understanding the world, but they base their philosophy and their teaching a lot on how nature works, because like we're a direct reflection of nature. So we can learn so much about ourselves by looking and paying attention to how nature is already doing things, and we don't have to reinvent the whole wheel. We just gotta, you know, tag along and then yeah.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And when you were talking about biodynamic farming, I mean, it's like all about movement too, because you want to move things around. You want to also, we were living as nomads. I mean, depending on where in the world, but we would move. We're smart enough to know that if you stay here and plant the same seed over and over, the same plants over and over, you're going to deplete the soil and it's not good for you. And we're smart enough to like, okay, we're planting this, we're moving around, we're bringing animals, we're changing things. And I find that is the path of health, and that's how you avoid any kind of disease. It's always stay in the moving. I mean, just not, I mean, as you're saying, we're a reflection of nature. And if you want nature to be healthy, you need movement. And if you want to be healthy, you need to always keep moving. And that's an important aspect, one of the things you can see in nature.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing with movement, I mean, we're 70% water, you know, like the human body is 70% water. So if you don't move your body enough, well, fluids don't get the chance to move, and like your rhythm and your flow becomes stagnant and stuff, and you like your you know, your whole system becomes hardened, and like inflammation gets into that, and then add on top of that like suboptimal type nutrition, lots of stress, you know. So it's again, it's a whole, like we're holistic being, and the sooner we start looking at our environment and adapt our decision making with that perspective in mind, the sooner we're gonna realign with the natural flow of things. Because the reality of it is that nature always wins. Nature will always win. And like let's say nature is going that way. Well, if we're going that way, it's just a question of time until like like, you know, it's not gonna.
It's all about time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I was gonna ask you, you've talked a little bit about nutrition, and you've mentioned the 80-20 rule. Does it apply to your condition, to your autoimmune condition? Is it something that you can allow for yourself, or you would go like 100% and you can't mess with it?
Yeah. Honestly, like I'm a big believer of the 80-20 rule. I mean, it's and this regardless of your disease or your condition, because the reality of it, and another of like the main philosophy of the whole Czech system and my whole like practice is that I don't cure the illness of my patient or my client. I teach my client in how to create health. So by creating health through different practice, well, the illness is just gonna, it's not gonna be able to stay there, you know? So the more things you
Mm,
do that create a healthy environment for you, well, it's just, you know, that like it's the same as the alkaline acidic environment.
right. Yeah.
These thrive in acidic environment. So if you change your environment towards a more alkaline one, but well, disease won't be able to be there, you know? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like philosophy. I don't treat the client or the disease. I coach the client in how they can create health for themselves so that
Mm,
disease just can't stay there.
yeah, I love it. I love bringing the positive to your life instead of focusing on the
Mm-hmm.
negative. And this reminds me of ways, let's say, to get rid of addictions, for example. Like,
Yeah.
let's say you have an addiction. The best way, I mean, if you focus on addiction, it's a big monster, and you need to understand where the addiction is coming from.
Yeah.
And when you realize that your addiction is coming from a lack of ambition or a lack of goals in your life and things you want to pursue, well, it's better to go focus on things that makes you alive and makes you happy
Right.
until you're so drawn in these things that you don't even have time for your addictions.
Mm-hmm.
And I find this
Mm-hmm.
is such a powerful way to get rid of them. And
Yeah.
it's all about, as you're saying, bring the positive and like fill your room with positive things until there's no more room. Or maybe they would still be there. I'm not saying I don't like the positive negative thing, but I'm saying there's still gonna be here, but they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be overcrowded with all the other things that make you alive and ambitious and happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to um, piggyback on what you just said, there's a great saying: if you have a big enough dream, you don't need a crisis.
Right.
So if your dream is big enough that you know that's your focus, that's where you put your attention, that's what, well, you won't even realize that you have a crisis or you have challenges because you know those challenges are necessary for you to put you in a position and to help you get to where you need to be in order to get to your dream and to accomplish your objective.
Mm.
So yeah, it's and again, like anything else, it's a mind game. It's a lot about like your perspective on things. Do you see the cup half full or half empty? And from there everything falls back down. So if you're, you know, or if you focus on things you do not want, that's a highly negatively charged thoughts, energy that you put out there. So therefore you're going to attract things that are resonating with what you put out. But if
Mm.
you're focused on things you do want or on the positive and stuff, well, you're going to see your challenges and your resistance as just opportunities for you to grow and to learn more about yourself. Because the reality of things is that you cannot grow without resistance. Resistance is the prerequisite for growth and for evolution and for learning. You know, when you go work out, like you break down muscle fiber like that
Mm-hmm.
because you apply resistance to it so that you can trigger an anabolic response from the body, which then grows stronger. That's kind of the same thing as you know your challenge that you encounter in your day-to-day life or whatnot. So yeah, it's really, it starts in there. You got to get your mindset right and be clear on the reason why you want to do, on the reason why you want to, you know, like take your health back into your hand and get better. And like, yeah, and from there like everything falls down. Because like if you don't know why you want to like lose weight or why you want to, start a meditation practice or start doing some breathing or go to bed earlier, if you're not clear on why you got to do that, chances are it's going to be very hard to do it and to sustain that pace, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It just this just reminds me when I go to the dentist, and
Mm.
I'm told every time, oh, you need to floss, and no one does it. I like I'm sure you don't do it, and most people don't do it, but like I try.
But
You do
I
it?
used to not. Oh yeah, I do.
Oh, okay, you're a lucky one. But like I do it like maybe a few days. I just went to the dentist yesterday. That's why it reminded me. I would do it for a few days and I stopped doing it because I find the dentist is not convincing enough to
Mm.
make me do it, and I don't see the benefit of doing it until I haven't been to the dentist in like more than a year, like a year and a half. I usually try to go every year or so, and it was getting a little bit messier this time. I was like, okay, now you have to do it, and she started explaining it to me, and I was like, okay, I'm screwed. And it was more by fear. I think you either do things by fear or by
Mm.
love, but I was afraid. I was like, okay, I'm still young. I don't want to lose it all now. And
Totally.
now I have a reason. I have this
Yeah.
image in mind, and I want to do it, and I want to keep doing it.
Mm.
And I think fear is the second best motivation to do things, but it's still a good one. You still do it, and then I hope one day that I would be flossing and loving doing it, and I don't know, dancing and flossing. But maybe, but for now, that's what's working for me, and it hasn't for the past I don't know how many years. I just don't do it.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And it's the same with any kind of like exercise program that, like, for example, I'm going to prescribe a certain exercise for my client. If I don't tell him how this is going to bring him closer to his dream, well, chances are he might just not do it because he won't understand why it's important. Like, this exercise is going to put me in a position where I can whatever, be on the whatever it might be, like a professional football team or
Right.
basketball, name it. But
Yeah.
like by training and by connecting the dot about why I'm asking you to perform this exercise or that, or just, lower, just drink more water. That's one of the main thing. Like, the main, like, 1% dehydration in the central nervous system has tremendous, I say tremendous, impact on the whole physiology, from mood swings to headache to it's a long list. So like,
Mm,
and
yeah.
30 billion biochemical reaction in the human body, which all are depending on water to occur. So
Right.
if you
Yeah.
have water,
You're screwed.
it's not happening. You can't manufacture your hormone, your serotonin, which is the happy hormone, or like, and then it's a downward spiral from there.
Oh
But
yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Like, it's important to connect the dot with our clients in terms of like why you should do that, or from your example, why should you floss?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's all about the why and have this goal always in mind. And it made me think the easiest clients I've ever got were the clients that knew why they were here, and they had a
Mhm.
really, really, really specific goal. When I say specific, in I don't know, 12 weeks, I want to be this. I want to
Right.
feel exactly like this. I have um, like something that's can be either quantified or not, but like a really clear idea of where they're going,
Yeah.
because once they have it, all I have to do is give, and they deliver, and they do it, and they're always motivated. And the big work, and that's where effective coaching comes in place, and that's the hardest part. Is I don't know, something is wrong with me. There's something I want to change. I don't know what, and I need your help. And I think
Right.
this is where it's not a matter of knowledge. I can know by heart all the books in the world, and if I'm not
Hmm.
able to understand and put my place in the client's shoes, and see what they're going through and which piece of knowledge would help them, well, you don't need your knowledge at all. Uh,
Exactly.
and I think, yeah, so it's all, I think the hardest part, I'm talking about coaching because that's what I do, and I'm sure it applies to anything else in the world, whatever job you're doing. I was talking to the other day, my brother is a project manager, and he told me like he trains employees sometimes, and he tells me sometimes they try, a lot of people try to fix problems without knowing what the problem is, and you need to spend so much more time thinking what am I trying to solve, and this is life changing. You can spend a lot of time, and the tricky part is that you don't see results fast enough. It's a big investment of time and money, whatever. You want to
Mhm.
retreat and think about what the real problem is. But once you realize it, whoop, things, it becomes easy. Things just happen, and that's it. You just do it.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. And I would add also, like, from a holistic perspective, oftentimes it's not always like the root cause of the problem is not always in the physical body. Like the physical body is the manifestation of sometimes emotional trauma, like mental or spiritual, because the human body is an
Mm,
integrated, you know. So it's
mm,
like an onion. You know how you have like the different layers.
yeah,
So
all the
so
layers.
if you challenges on an energetical level, well, it's gonna influence all the other level, and the physical being the densest, like, the more the one we interact with, the one that we see. But
Mm,
there's also many other level that we just don't see. And
mm,
if the only kind of framework that we have and that we work with is the scientific reductionist mindset that the body is all there is, when you die that's done, and well, that's where the pill for every ill mentality comes in play, and then you never really are able to track down the root cause of your challenges or your problem,
mm.
or so
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Totally agree. It's always deeper. Just an
yeah.
analogy. When you have a heart attack, it's not your heart that
Mm-hmm.
hurts; it's your shoulder, and it happens with a lot of things. There's always layers. As you're saying, the manifestation of deeper problem arises in symptoms that are absolutely not related. You have a
Yeah.
headache. You can also like when it comes to joint pain, for a long time, I had a problem with my kneecap. I would feel pain. I can't squat, and it would like kill me every time. But all what I realized is by changing a lot of things in my posture and like relieving a
Yeah.
lot of tensions that are way far from my kneecap. It's not my kneecap. I was focusing on my kneecap. I would always like massage it and like what's wrong
Yeah.
with my knee, and it's not my knee. It's like all other places, and you need
Yeah.
to look at things, go a little bit further and look at things from afar, and that's how we find the root of the problem. And I'm even today I still haven't figured out like why my knee does it, but I'm on my way. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find all like I'm pretty sure it's something emotional, and it's part of my learning journey. I'm learning every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a lifelong journey, and that's what's so beautiful about this whole world of, like, because me too, like, me was my autoimmune condition first that got me into that. Like, I wanted to heal my body and, like, understand why this and that, but this kind of put me in the direction, and then it's a little more, a little more, a little more, and then the more I learn about what I'm learning, and how I'm, because of my experience, I'm in a position where I can, connect all the dots and help people with their challenges. And, well, this created my vocation, essentially my whole career path, because the truth of the matter is that I never knew what I wanted to do in school. I never knew. Well, I thought I knew what I wanted to do because of, like, other people's expectation or whatever, but yeah, it's football. Football kept me in school for so long. Like, I graduated from Western University, not because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go there for school, but I wanted to go there for football, But this whole journey, this whole experience that I've had, all those injuries, all those challenges, all those difficulty, were the necessary things I needed so that I could find myself, find my path. Because like the true, another thing is that we all have our own path, and it's either you're on it or you're not on it, and that, like, it's, you experience is the only real teacher. Like you, and oftentimes you gotta experience first what does not work before finding what do work.
Yeah, I agree.
And even as human being, you know, like we're always, we learn through first experiencing what's not working. Like, you know, I often use the analogy of the stove, you know, like the like, our parents, don't touch that, you're gonna burn yourself. Well, we all did it, and then once we burn ourselves, okay, yeah, maybe maybe that's true, I'm not gonna do it. But like, if I would have never tried it, I wouldn't know that like the stovetop is like not that friendly, you know. Yeah. And yeah, it's like, you know, your big toe is connected to your earlobe through like a connective tissue, like the fascia, you know. So like, if you pull in one place, the whole system feel it, you know.
Yeah.
So
this is crazy. Yeah. Isn't it the basis? Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. I was gonna say, isn't it the basis of acupuncture? You like put a needle somewhere, and it's gonna like put it in your, I don't know, maybe your forearm, and it's gonna like make your big toe feel better or something like that. I guess.
Acupuncture is related with the meridian system, which is essentially, it's you know, it goes, and again, in the West, we've been only like taught the physicality, the fact that there's these other dimensions don't necessarily exist. But in ancient traditional Chinese medicine, these masters been knowing that reality for thousands of years. And essentially is that the meridian are like rivers, like channels of energy that goes throughout our bodies. Right. And we have like 3 main meridian. And depending on your challenges or whatever, with the needle, what they do is that they're able to rebalance the energetic flow in the system on a more on a subtle energy level. So it's essentially treating the energetic body with needles in order to channel energy through and rebalance. Again, I'm not like deep studying that, but that's kind of what I got from it. And like the whole chakra system, you know, those wheels of energy. Well, that's the perspective of the subtle energetic body, essentially. Yeah. So, but yeah, and I mean, if you think that this is you know, bogus science and like there's no such thing as an energetic body, well, you're cutting yourself from the whole range of possibility.
Yeah, you know? or what you can do is put these 2 realities, the subtle energy and the science, and a lot of people are starting to realize that they are the same thing, but you're looking at them through different lenses. And you don't have to be against science to believe in chakras or believe in meridians. And they come together. And something I've learned recently, I mean, it's a theory, but I'm not an expert in acupuncture per se. But the one thing that I learned is that the meridian system can be like the version of the fascia, and that's like they kind of come together. And science is discovering fascia. It's not something that's been really old in the scientific community, and we're talking more and more about it. But it's been there for thousands of years, and I mean, you don't have to think it's bullshit. We're just using different words. We're
Mm-hmm.
just using different lenses and different techniques. But I have a feeling that this they will merge eventually. They will come together eventually, and will agree on the same terms maybe. And I would be happy the day this will happen, and not just think of science and this and always separate things. They can be together.
Yeah, I totally agree, and you're totally right. Like honestly, the time is now. The more and more people are more like, more open-minded about those alternative ways of understanding the whole body and redefining what health means too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yeah, like having a holistic um outlook on life is exactly what you just said, is that you have one foot in the scientific ways of looking at the world and one foot in the more eastern ways, or west,
Mm,
the west versus the east. You have one step in both field, and then you look at what you have. And then
yeah.
now, because because and again, it all boils down to belief system. Like belief system by definition are closed. So it's like if you're in a box, and therefore anything else, any other kind of information external to what your belief system preaches or taught you, well, it just flews right above your head, but it doesn't mean that it's not true and it doesn't exist. It's just
Mm.
it's different ways of understanding the world, and and we can even talk about religion too.
Oh yeah, please.
Like religion. I mean, they're they're all talking about the same thing, but in different ways. Really, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's like if you have one elephant. Like you picture an elephant right there, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
Christian. I look at the elephant from this perspective. You're Buddhist. You look at it, but from the other side of me. Well, of course, how we gonna describe the elephant's gonna be different, but we're
Mm-hmm.
still describing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
it's that time where like we gotta be more open minded.
Yeah. Yeah, and just seeing things from afar, because um, it's for me like it's the same thing as you when it comes to religion. It's we're using different languages. Imagine if
Mm-hmm.
there was only one religion in the world, with all the different cultures we have and all the different um, ways of thinking. You can't. I mean, just like when you speak, there are things like you speak French and English, and I'm sure that some things you can express in French, you will never be able to say them the same way in English,
Yeah.
and it's super complicated. You can have something close, but language is intrinsically related to the culture, and
Yeah.
that's the same thing for religion. I mean, like in the Middle East, when they came with the three big religions, I'm sure they wouldn't have been able to believe in anything else that would come from a far different culture, like let's say in the polar circle, and
Mm-hmm.
they believe in different things and they live differently, and it would just not apply. They needed a language that understand, like they needed something that they would understand through
Mm-hmm.
the way they're living. They're nomads. They live in the deserts. I'm just giving like a few ideas of where they were living, and they just have the best thing that represent them. And once you like step a little bit, just a few steps afar, and see them through different lenses, and see them like considering their environments, you realize, oh, what the hell, the same thing. It is the same
Yeah.
thing, just using different examples. That's all that is.
Yeah. And religion is the best example of belief system. Like my God is the
Mm-hmm.
real God, the God that exists, and therefore anything else that doesn't resonate with what I'm, believing in or whatnot is false, and we gotta do war against it. But the truth of the matter is that all religion, God is unconditional love by definition. So like, it just doesn't make sense that like we go to war against other so-called gods that, you know, yeah. It's
yeah.
It's a huge topic, but I mean, again, it's personally, I feel like we gotta start taking things with a little grain of salt, you know, like like and the way that I define truth is whatever works for you, you know, and like we're all unique, we're all different, we all have different experience. So in relation to my upbringing, my experience, what, you know, like my interaction with the world, I got a concept of what resonates truth for me. Chances are your and not chances, like the fact is your experience and everything completely different. Doesn't mean it's not true, like, you know. And I also feel that like there's no such thing as the ultimate truth. Like this guy has the ultimate truth. I don't think that's exactly how it works. I feel like we each and every one of us has a piece of it, and it's by sharing with others our own truth from our point of view that we can, like, you know, we all have a piece of the puzzle, so to speak, you know. And by sharing, by connecting with other people and being open to different perspectives and different ways of understanding our reality and this whole human experience. I mean, it's so profound. Like, you know, we're here and like, yo, we have a body and stuff, and like, you know, like it's quite complex. But, and again, as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to a reflection of myself, really, because like, we are the same in the sense that what I'm living, my own experience is unique to myself. The same goes for you, but we're the same in that sense. So I cannot say that you're whatever you say is not true or it's bullshit or whatever, because like you're like me, like we're all reflection of each other. So whatever you do on someone, you're essentially doing it to yourself. So yeah.
Amen.
I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, Anthony? I've been, I would say like the past months, but it's been a few months. I've been thinking about working on my intuition, and I had a really scientific upbringing and like left brain and like from my culture. I mean, you need to be manly and not do any of the I don't know, hippie stuff, and so I did not focus on my intuition for a long time, and until the last months, and I've been working a lot on it, and I've been learning a lot from it, and it's been having a lot of effects in my life and the way I do my things and the way I make decisions too, financial decisions, or if I should be working with this or that person, or and I feel that there is, when you work on when you use your intuition, there's no longer bad choices. Everything seems just perfect, and everything is okay. That's what really my heart wanted, and that's what I need to do, and I go 100% in everything that I do. So my question for you is, what is your experience with your intuition, and how can you teach people to tap into their intuition and evolve with it and learn from it? Like, so someone who's like really, really far from anything that's like related to intuition, and you want them to explore it a little bit more, what is the advice you would tell them?
First of all, it's very hard to hear your intuition when there's a lot of noise. You know, you're in the room or you're at a party and stuff, and there's a lot of noise. You can't even hear you speak to your friends or whatnot. And your intuition is the voice of your soul, which expresses itself through your heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly like learning to calm the mind, calm the monkey mind. Because also another thing that's important to be aware of is that maybe you think you're listening to your intuition or your soul, but maybe it's past conditioning and past programming that are playing in the background and stuff.
Right.
So it's important to also keep that in mind in that sense, and not just go like I don't know, like whatever. I'm following my intuition without being clear that it's your true your truer self that's talking to you. First of all, gotta get the diet right. You need to clean up your diet if you want to be able to connect within and to hear the wisdom from within.
Okay.
Why is that so? Picture the human body as a radio, you know?
Okay.
So
yeah.
If and because like it's energy is all there is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like waves of energy, like the quantum field, and like the the whole science is now catching up what ancient knowledge been knowing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, like the more and like your chakras are like energetic wheel that like emit different frequency, and if you're incoherent, and the reason why diet is so important is that what you eat is not just energy, it's information also. So if you eat, let's say, processed sugar, well, sugar is known to speed your cells. It speeds your cells super high.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, if you're incoherent, your body is incoherent, and like the reality of it is that there's like energy all the time everywhere. Mm-hmm. And when you calm yourself down and you connect within, then you can harmonize your brain heart you become coherent from your brain and your heart, because your mind oftentimes is like it's like it's not always what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
You think you might want to do something, or that thing is best for you, but all your analytical mind and your conception of what you should do is strongly based on past experience. Your heart, however, is the seat of the soul, and your heart always knows, and the heart speaks very clear. Like you don't like the heart is gonna it's like that's what it is, like your intuition, and then there's also the gut feeling. Yeah, there's a lot of different level. I'm just gonna wrap up what I was saying about the diet, because like the diet is essentially if you have a radio, and with the radio, what a radio does is that it picks up energetic frequency, and then it breaks it down, and then you have sound or whatever it is. You have like downloads or information. The human body is essentially a bioenergetic battery. So and we have the ability to connect with that greater wisdom, that greater intelligence, that from which intuition comes from. But if your diet is highly let's just say suboptimal, well, you're on an energetic level, you're very wind up, So it would be the same as if your radio is like, or the whole TV with the thing that like like it picks you have a picture, then it goes like it's highly incoherent. So if your physiology of your body is not baseline level, well, it's going to be very hard to connect with that greater intelligence, and the wisdom are going to be a lot less clearer and stuff. But before there's also the like muscle testing. Are you familiar with what muscle testing is?
Yeah. I just learned that not too long ago. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a very great way to start. Yeah, like like connecting with your soul, because essentially your body is your soul, essentially, and the body cannot lie to you because it threatens your survival. Like never your body is gonna eat, like your body's never gonna tell you to eat something that is not good for you, or it puts you closer towards the a threat for your survival, essentially.
Yeah.
So let's say like you want to ask, should I eat a banana? And well, so there's the duck bill test that you can do. Like you do a duck bill like that, and then you muscle test, like, and it doesn't have to be hard, because like it's based on the on reflex, essentially. So your body knows. So when the answer is yes, like the body tends to lean towards, or it's like it tends to move towards it. When the answer is no, it tends to back off. And how this translates to the duck bill test is that when you and I encourage people to just try it out and try it as much as you can. And the more you do it, it's a skill. The more you do it, the more you're gonna be able to connect with that. And I use that for my diet. Like I always ask my body, do you want eggs? No. Do you want salmon? Yes. Like, and then I break down my diet and stuff, and then I know exactly what my body needs. It takes practice. No problem.
Sorry about that.
Oh, good. So yeah, starting to play around with that, the whole muscle testing, that's a very good way to go about it. And again, if you're dehydrated, it's gonna have an influence on your on your ability to hear it. But so that's why diet is so important. Like, and for anything else, because like let's say you want to go work out, and your abdominal wall is not working properly. Well, if your diet is suboptimal, and there's inflammation in your organs, you won't be able to turn on the abdominal wall, which creates stability in your spine.
Right.
So you gotta clean the diet, lower down the inflammation, and then you're gonna be able to use that pathways, because the reality of things is that the organs and the muscle share the same neurological pathways. The same way you were talking about the heart attack and the shoulder.
Right.
The organs don't have their own neurological pathways towards the spine. So they share it with the muscle. But if you have inflammation in your organs, your body's sending information. Hey, there's inflammation. It hurts. So there's already information going all the way up from your organs. So if you want to activate your abdominal wall from consciously, well, the signal has no way to get through the muscle, because the organs are using it already.
Yeah.
Are you following me?
Yeah.
So anyways, that was just to put more emphasis on the importance of eating quality over quantity, and for your own individual needs.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and with the intuition, it's there's a saying, like prayers is like asking for things to a greater, to the source or to the creator or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, when you meditate and you calm down, is essentially listening to the answers. So when you pray, you ask, and then it's important to have the skill to just be still, calm everything down, and then downloads and information are going to be able to come in. But if your mind is spinning and like all the time, and you're and you're not able to just settle everything down and get to a point of stillness, well,
Yeah.
in the same way you can't hear your friend talking in a big in a concert, in a rock concert, well, the same way goes. Like maybe great spirit are sending you information, but since there's already so much noise, you're not able to pick them up, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I would tell people. Start experimenting with the muscle testing, and do it. The easier it gets, and the more your body tells you, or a very simple way to experience it is by just close your eyes and say the word love in your head and pay attention to how your body reacts. Naturally, love is the greatest thing there is in this whole universe. Like, unconditional love is the creator, like everything. Anyways, and then say the word death, for example, and pay attention to how your body feels.
I can feel it. Yeah.
Right. So and the more you play around with that, the more you're able to connect with that voice, with that innate wisdom of the body that we all have. We all have access to it. But it's a question of, practice. And again, meditation is the way to stillness, and it's a skill that you develop. The more you do it, the more you put yourself in a position where you can consciously bring everything down and detach yourself from those thoughts, from the monkey mind, which are most of the time based on past experience and yeah. So
I
hope that kind of answers your question.
It's I think I really like your answer. I mean, it's important, like as you're saying, it's important to remove the noise, and to get back to your example. I mean, when you were mentioning food, clean your diet, and this is gonna remove some of the noise, as you're saying. It's not just calories; it's information. And one thing that I can add: if you eat toxic food, toxic meats that been slaughtered in bad conditions, and genetically modified plants and all of that, what is the information you're giving to your body? You're giving to your body the information that you live in you live in hell. Yeah, you're about to die. Like, you're giving all the bad information to your body, and what are you, like, your body is gonna retract and get more stressed, and you're just getting ready to die. And you need to be able to give the information that's gonna make you feel safe. And if you're not feeling safe, you're not gonna be able to tap into your intuition. And that's part of like cleaning your environment and cleaning your room and cleaning just being feel that you're in a safe space, and tell your body, your nervous system, it's all gonna be all right. We're all fine. You can relax, and we can sit together. But yeah, I just wanted to add this part about nutrition.
Yeah, I love it. And if I can just add another thing on top of that, is that water has an infinite capacity to carry information. And we're water. The animal you eat is water. So that's how the energy gets transferred. So they even did an experiment with subject. They were holding a bowl of water. Like, they had two groups, like the control group, which was healthy student from can't recall exactly where, but anyways, they were holding the bucket of water for like 2 or 3 hours, and then they were giving it to the plant. And then they compared it with mentally healed patients holding the water and watering the plant. And the result were significant. Like the plant that were watered by the healthy student grew towards the sun, healthy and stuff, and the other plant grew towards the ground and like all crooked and stuff. So that's again, it's research experiments are there, research are there. Like energy is real, and like emotion, like they do transfer. So yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's a good last sentence to wrap up the conversation. I'm loving it, but we'll have to wrap it up. But we're not done yet. So I have a few last questions for you.
Ooh.
So tell me, so you woke up this morning, was there anything you were grateful for? What is the one thing you were really grateful for?
As always, that I can breathe, that you know, just to be here, honestly, like it's such a gift just to be here now. And that's for everybody, regardless of all the situation and the COVID this and that. Like, it's what a time to be alive, honestly. Like,
Mm.
there's so much thing we can bring to the world. And like now, especially, like everything is falling down, all like the barriers, all the preconceived things you cannot do, like everything is falling down.
Mm.
And it's for us to speak our voice, to connect, and to put an alternative ways of doing things out there for people to just to hear, really. And
Mm.
I'm not trying to convince anybody, but it's my experience. It works, and it does not have to be that painful and that challenging and that so dark and stuff. Regardless of what everything is going on, you are the creator of your own reality, and it all starts there. And thank you for asking me this question, honestly, because I feel it's so important. It's so important, and gratefulness is one of the highest frequency vibration energy you cannot tap into. And once you tap into, you're unstoppable, because the universe flows through you.
Mm.
You're harmonizing yourself with the natural flows of life. And yeah, I'm grateful for many things. I'm grateful for my parents, for my family, for you, for people like you who are putting in the work, honestly. Because, like, man, I see myself through you guys, and through others. And like, guys, we're all in this together. That's amazing.
Mm.
We're all in the same boat. And like,
Yeah.
it's if you I believe in the good things coming, honestly. And I mean, you are the only one that can really stop you. When you think about that, you are your own and only limitation. And if,
Mm.
like, whatever you set your mind to, whether like beating your disease, or like starting your business, or what it might be, the universe is supporting you all the time.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Anytime you do things using your intuition, which we spoke about, and just following your hearts, like things unfold.
Yeah.
Like it does. Like even now, like when I see, since I've been tapping into my intuition, things even don't make any sense at all. Like
Mhm.
I left my job, not even sure. Like I've just started my business, and I had no fucking idea, and just things start to unfold. And um, like I would always do things out of fear, and I've been doing it for a long time. What was the fear? Fear of instability, fear of not being able to provide, and it was
Mhm.
always around financials, and that's what I've been trying to do, like starting to look for jobs and work and do all that stuff. And I didn't care less about my health, about my dreams, and about what I really want to achieve in this world. And once I stopped worrying about financials, I don't stress about it now. Like I'm not rich. I'm just, I mean, like I have enough to just do my things and keep
Yeah.
on working on my business, but I'm not stressing about it because as you were saying, I put in all my energy in trying to
Mhm.
create and try to push this dream forward. And I know that I'm doing it from a good place. And that's what my heart is telling me to do. And
Yeah.
things happen by miracle, and things just keep going.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm stressing at the end of the month, like, fuck, how am I going to survive for the next month? And then you have something coming on and new
Yeah.
projects and new things to work on, and just like, what? But
Yeah.
that's the magic of when you do things from your heart, and
Yeah.
just so it's magical.
Yeah. Truly magical. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have another question.
Mhm.
So I asked you what you were grateful for. Now I'm going to ask you what was your best mistake you've ever done? That's a tricky one.
Yeah. Think I ever done. I'd say thinking that I knew what, because, or just, I don't know. That's a good question. It's I'd say maybe like thinking that I knew what was right for me, like earlier or whatever in things like. But again, it's a mistake that leads to growth and to necessary experience.
Learning from things that don't serve you, or I don't know. Does it make sense? Doing the wrong things and knowing what you don't want, I guess.
Well, because the more I like I grew up and I evolved, the more I realized that the less you know, the better things are, and the less expectation you have, the easier things flows by. What I'm trying to say is that we're all changing. We're constantly changing all the time. So by you know, so like let's say with my brother, for example. Like I grew up with him. I have a preconceived idea or picture of who he is as a person. But that's actually not really legitimate for the time, because everybody's changing all the time. So if you I'm kind of having a hard time articulating that, but
I think I see I see where you're going.
yeah, because you know, the more you can be just or just associating myself as being someone, the more you approach life from a standpoint that I am nobody.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like you're nobody. So whoever, like, I don't know, you meet someone and he like from the past or whatever, and like it's whatever it might be. Well, I'm not that person anymore. I'm nobody, you know. So like always operating from that perspective, I feel like is the best way to flow with it, flow with the Tao, you know, like just because like it puts you in a position where you can uncling to concepts or thoughts or ideas about him or this or that or even things, or like, and therefore expectation comes with it. And when you have expectation, that's a slippery terrain to walk on, you know, because like I don't know. So like if you're always expecting someone to be the way you knew him as, but chances are he's not the same person he is now. So yeah, I'd say one of my greatest mistakes is associating too much with my identity as a person. And the same goes for my friends, my family and stuff, because the more I can approach any situation from a standpoint of I know nothing, and I'm open to whatever you bring to me, and whatever comes out is what it is. Well, it doesn't interfere with the natural flow of things, because I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, not having any expectation, and just every day is a new day, and every experience is a new experience. Just reminds me of dog. I was laughing, like dogs, like you can give them the exact same food every day, go to the exact same dog park every day, they will be so freaking happy, and that's all matters. Like every day is like, what, we're going to the dog park, and you're like so excited. But because they're not in the past, they're not just, oh yeah, we just went yesterday, I'm not, they're now in the now, and they're excited to go to the park, and they're excited to eat whatever food they're giving them. And even if you change their food, they don't care much. They're in the now.
Yeah, or even on the darker note, like, like if you beat your dog, it's like it's like nothing. It's gonna come back to you. Like it's just always unconditional love. Dogs are the purest expression of an unconditional love. And yeah, man, like if I can just put it out there, like if there's one thing you can do every day is to be a little kinder to anybody. First, starting with yourself. Like, sometimes you're like, oh, let's say I want to stop drinking alcohol or any kind of addiction, or, oh, I should do this or I should do that. And then you don't do it. Well, if you start beating yourself because of that, that's not constructive. That's just fueling the downward spiral.
Right.
So if you can, be a little kinder with yourself first, and by doing so, you're going to be able to be more kinder with your environment, with your friends, your family, your relationship. And I feel like that's the way to enhance the whole collective and the whole experience. And yeah, really, it's, and yeah, if you're kinder to yourself, you're going to be kinder to an environment, and then that's you're going to start thinking about, like, brainstorming new solution about how to redesign the way we do things and stuff. And the same way, like, focus on the positive, like, rather than sitting there and like, oh fuck, like the economy is down, like there's no more this, no more that, well, all right, that's where we at. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, so yeah, I feel like that's kind of where I'm coming from on that one.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for sharing. That's a good ending. I loved it. Yeah. So if you want to know more about you, I guess the best place would be to go on your Instagram. You have a website?
Yeah, exactly. I also have my website. It's iron.health.ptenhance.com.
All right.
That's like my platform, and there's more information about, like, the whole holistic philosophy, and I'm still working on the building of my website too. And then but IG, I also have Facebook.
All right.
Anthony Joyal. And that's pretty much where people can find me.
That's it. I'm gonna link everything. Put it on the Instagram post. I'm gonna put it on Spotify, on YouTube, and I really, really dig this conversation. There might be a second part, because I know, like, we can go on for hours, man.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say I have to do a part 2 for sure.
on your page next time, huh?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care, buddy. And thanks, guys, for watching.
Take care, bro. Thanks for the invite.
See you next time.